Testing. Can you guys actually hear me? Because I'm using a new microphone and I would love to hear the volumes if anything needs to go up and down. And I will explain that. Hey, Lamer. And hello, Scooby, George. Yes. Yes to if you're not crazy, you're not normal. Yep. So I'm using a DJI, one of those mic minis. You know, like you see all the live streamers use, IRL streamers that you clip on your shirt. Can't hear you. Okay. My voice is coming out because I'm a little bit tired of being tethered to the microphone. I have to speak into it, and it's in the way when I'm doing keyboard stuff and drawing stuff. So I'm trying this out. No, this is a pre-recording. I'm going for another walk tomorrow, hopefully, depending. I haven't slept well the last week, so if I sleep well tonight, I'm going for like a really beautiful walk tomorrow that I will record, and that will be the trailer for while we are warming up the live stream. And the plan is that I want to do walking live streams at one point. Where I got this mic, but I haven't really used it. I bought it like a month ago and I haven't used it yet, so I was like, can I use it with my, because basically what it is, it's a receiver and a microphone, and the microphone also do Bluetooth, but if you have the receiver, you have like better quality and you can do gain stuff, and it has a built-in noise gate and all that shit. So it's like, well, it's just a USB-C receiver. So can I plug it into my computer and then use it that way? And lo and behold, I can. So if this actually works, I think I will keep this, because this is the first generation. And then when we get paid this week, I may buy generation 2, which is better, and use that for when I'm outside. Because you just have more freedom, that you don't have to be in front of the mic all the time. I hope this makes sense. I also got a better light that I bought as a test from Amazon, a super cheap one, but it's fucking good. So I'm buying another one of those, because then I hopefully that should be lightning enough that I can then have webcam on when I do these live streams, because I'm using proprietary software and hardware, yes, and also a little bit of open source hardware. Holy fuck, this is loud. Oh. Aha, so I found a bug with my program. So I made a program. Anyway, I will finish my thought here and I can explain this. Well, I made my own proprietary live streaming program, or working on it. And the volume controller that handles Windows volume seems to only be handling Windows internally volume and not my headset for some weird reason. I may remove that, I don't know. But I'm trying to make basically take the good parts for OBS Streamlabs and some other stuff that they have locked down and stuff like that. And because Streamlabs works like shit. It's too heavy, it's too bulky and stuff like that. And OBS, you have to plug in a shit ton of add-ons to get it to be good for live streaming. And I also don't want to be reliant on, all these websites you have to log on to, and then you have to take the, put this link in from this website and this link in from that website. I want everything to be in one, so OBS only handles like the live streaming. And then the dashboard that I'm making, or the program that I'm making, is handling the widgets that you see. So displaying chat, displaying notification, the time and all that shit you see. And also handling the administration of the live stream. So the dashboard of the live stream is in there, the music that you hear is coming out from the app. So it basically becomes a control center that handles everything you could dream of about your screen, but locally. So you don't have to rely on all these third-party accounts and have like 10,000 websites you have to log on to do a live stream. My plan is that if people want this in the future, if this is something other than me wants to use, there is a use case for why you would want all that in the cloud, and that is like if you are moving computers a lot. And that could be like a paid feature that you then have to have an account and that get access to all your stuff in the cloud. But for now, I just hate that you have to use this for this widget site has the best this, and this widget site has the best this. And then you have like 10 logins you have to manage to just do a fucking live stream. And it's all in the cloud, and you don't know what if that website goes down, which has happened a lot of times, you know, and what if stuff goes tits up and whatnot. I can see I'm speaking loudly, so I'm going to just shut down the volume a little bit on my receiver. So I just want everything to be like you have it on your computer or locally, because everything as a live stream now is done in the cloud. Again, it makes sense in some cases, but a lot of them comes and goes, and I don't like that. I want to be more in control over my shit. So right now I build up 90% of the app, and it's not done in Electron like everyone else, because that's one of the reasons why I hate slops, is like it's so resource hungry and there's so much Electron problems, and Node.js get hacked every fucking week, and my program uses half the fucking resource and already does almost more than OBS slops does, sorry, not OBS. Yeah, and I want it to be a place where you can also get information about your either Twitch channel or YouTube channel. Like I said, administrate your live stream, music sources, some aspects of your computer, and then widgets. And I think the widgets will be open source. So if you want them, you can just download them and then just run them without the... The widgets is basically a part of themselves. You just use the app that I'm making to modify them if you want to. If you don't want to go into the source code and fuck around. Sorry. But technically you could, because almost every widget you see on a live stream is HTML, CSS, and either JavaScript or TypeScript. So I'm thinking just leaving that as open source, and then if you want to use it, you can just, you know, wait. So those subscription-based AI features. The only thing I could see that would make sense to be subscription-based or locked down is like super premium features. So that would be like hosted in the cloud. You know, like you have everything in one place, but you have to make an account for that, you know, for it to make sense. And we need to find storage space for that, so, you know, it has to be paid for in some way. If you want to do it locally, this is what I hate about slops or Streamlabs desktop, is that there's a lot of features that's behind the paywall, and in my opinion should not be behind the paywall. And I get why they're doing it, they want to make money. But here's the thing, I can do the same with OBS. Granted, I need a shit ton of plugins, which can be a hassle and irritating in of itself. So I get like they're trying to make money. I just think there's a better way of doing it. Because basically what my program is doing what Streamlabs is doing, and what you can do with OBS, but without the hassle. And without having to run like a massive Electron app. And it, yeah. I just got frustrated with the slops or Streamlabs desktop. It's just, in general, I have a lot of issues with the Electron apps at the moment. They are really not a good idea. They are really not a good idea. they are a symptom of an industry that's going down the hill, and that's the development industry. Sadly enough, we have too many managers that have no fucking idea what development and software engineering actually is, and they are more accountants than they are tech people, and they run the company or the departments by dollars, as an accountant would run everything. And that just don't make sense in a lot of instances. Just like with movies, the reason why movies lately have gotten so fucking bad the last 10-15 years is because they are not being run by creative fans. They are being run by accountants. And you can't run anything creative as an accountant book. The same with gaming. They run game companies the way that they look at an accountant book, and you can't do that. We would never have Mona Lisa if it was done as an accountant would want it to be done. You just, every picture would be the same, just a little bit different, but the same. And it would be min-maxing to the high, so creativity went out of the way. And that's why we have a lot of the Electron is a symptom of that, because it's faster, it's cheaper to make, it's universal. The developers you hire to do Electron apps don't cost as much as a C developer, C++, C# developer, Java developer, and their education is not that long, because it's basically just a front end, a full stack developer you get to do it. So you basically pay them almost half. But you don't get the same quality, you don't get the same testing, you don't get the same understanding as the engineers have, but they're trying to get AI to replace that, or testers to do that. And now they want AI to then replace these full stack front-end developers. I just had a discussion about this with my brother yesterday. He works as an engineer. Oh, really? Awesome. Get him in here. But yeah, they run a lot of companies nowadays. I don't know why the fuck I just did that. Like it's min-maxing. So minimum effort, maximum outcome. So minimum effort means minimum workforce, minimum salaries, minimum money, minimum equipment, and maximum outcome. Like how can and hopefully that will transfer out to the ideal money-making outcome. So outcome for them is dollars. But the problem with AI now is that tokens is becoming more expensive than a human developer. So to do the same work, granted it may be a little bit faster, you are spending 3 times the amount of money that you would paying a developer. Just for a little bit of speed, but not that much more security, and not that much, and definitely not scalability and stuff like that. In a lot of instances, they are getting better, the models and agents and all of that, but it's really bad. And we are starting, I can give you a little bit of insider knowledge. We are starting to see new people coming into the workforce that cannot work without an AI. So they call themselves developers, but they are not vibe coders, because they don't sit and are not prompt engineers. They don't sit and prompt our agent, but the AI do all the work anyway. So they are kind of vibe coder and kind of prompt engineers, but not really. So they get the traditional education that you normally would be getting, as an engineer, what you would call it. But they are so highly reliant on AI that they cannot think for themselves. So they don't sit and prompt agents so much as a vibe coder would, but they still rely heavily on it. It's a little bit like you can bench press 200 kilograms, but only if your spotter lift 80% of their weight. And then you get into a problem when they are getting put into real developers to work with them, because they don't know what's going on. At some point, the new developers that are AI dependent, they knew what they were doing, but they've forgotten it because they just trust the AI. And that means that they are producing code that they're putting into the code manifold or upstream, however you will put it. And it's really bad. They don't know if something is wrong, why it's wrong. They then have to go back and ask the AI, why is this code wrong? You know, if they get asked to modify the code, they ask the AI to modify. So they are, you could debate that they basically are vibe coders, but they are not like hired as vibe coders, if you get what I'm saying. So they are basically like the manager of the AI, which also a vibe coder is, but they still understand more than a vibe coder. But because they have not used it in 3 or 4 years, they, you know, use it or lose it, you know. Yeah, get a MacBook later. MacBooks are amazing. The only reason I'm not going full-blown Mac is fucking gaming. I'm not a console gamer. I so want to go full-time Mac. But then I'm booting up my PlayStation. I'm like, there's only like a few games that are really good on PlayStation. The rest is just shit. Like, when I mean shit, it's like, for how expensive the console is, I get a better gaming experience on a computer for just a little bit more. And there's a lot of PC games that's just not on PlayStation. Maybe when the new generation comes out, if they're not super expensive. Because I am fed up with, well, I'm fed up with Windows and Linux at the same time. I never thought I would be in that situation where I would be fed up with both operating systems. The only one that don't irritate me is Mac OS, which is a fun little thing, because let's clear all this out here. You were there. Where are you, George? Are you full-blown Mac now? Or now you're a gamer? So you have Linux here, you have Mac OS here, and you have Windows here. So here, this is like oh. I know my handwriting is also fucked up right now. Yeah, I also will say that for me, Windows is the biggest problem right now, but it's also the one that gives me the best gaming experience in the games that I play, so I have to stick up with it. It's also the one that support the technologies that I want to use. I will get into this in this little rant here, because it's a little bit complicated. But this is basically like how you should look at it, is that Windows is working against you. They are putting all of these things out because they think you want it, but you don't, and they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Microsoft has lost touch with reality from its desktop users. They have no idea what the desktop users want anymore. They are oblivious. Linux, 10,000 different distributions, no standard. We'll talk a little bit about why this is a problem in a second. Yeah, but I have done something to Windows, so a lot of the code that works in the background. I have this, the games that works on both Windows and Linux for me, they work equally good with heat, fans. It could just be your fan profile that's fucked up on Windows or something like that. Because some management programs, they do go in and overwrite the fan curve. If you have like Asus Armor Crate in and you open that up and tweak the fans just once, it sometimes goes in and overwrite the BIOS fan curve and stuff like that. But yeah, with Linux, like 10,000 fucking distributions, no standardization, 10,000 desktops. What works on one distribution may not work on another distribution. So you always are on the hunt to find a distribution that irritates you the least. And then a lot of times it's actively, you are a system administrator. For it's not trying to make your life better. You are trying to make Linux better, which is I get why people want that. I've not tried the new Ubuntu yet. I need to do that when I get time. I get why people want to be their own system administrators, but if you want to do anything other than that, Linux just become irritating for you. If you just want to be productive, creative, or game, or whatever the fuck it is, Linux in a lot of instances, you do more maintenance, you do more groundwork to get to the point where you don't think about the OS anymore. Mac OS is like the one that just works for you. It's the best thing from Windows, it's the best thing from Linux, but you can't game on it. So my problem that I have is that these two here, they kind of do the same. What works on Windows, a lot of times they also support it on the Mac OS. I use a lot of peripherals and stuff like that do a lot of fancy shit that helps me with my creative work and my live streaming work and whatnot. But they are software driven, meaning that you need software for them to use them 100%, or else it's just a dumb light, a dumb whatever it is, you know. And that software only works on Windows or Mac OS. So my software, let's call it this, all of the things I want to use works 100% on it. The software I want to use on Windows works 100%. The software I want to use, or even equivalent software, sometimes can't be found. And there's not even equivalent peripherals or equivalent work tools that works under Linux. Because the sad reality with anything external from your computer nowadays, it's software bound. Most modern things are run by software, even hardware things. They need companionship software. And a lot of the open source alternatives are shitty, don't work that well, or they just don't exist on Linux. So for me, what I use, and I like to use, I would say software is about 80%. You know, let's go to gaming. Well, gaming on the Mac OS is a joke. You know, like, there are some games, but unless you buy the fucking $10,000, $20,000 top Mac, you can't really run any games on Mac OS. On Windows, well, games works 100%. Of all the games I like to play, my friends play, and I like to be engaged with. On Linux, I would say, oh, this should be 80% and not 8. I would say like 90% of the games that I want to play. Yeah, Mandrake. I think my first one, I went Red Hat, SUSE, Mandrake, and then I switched between Mandrake and Red Hat, or Mandrake and SUSE for a while. I would even go, now I'm thinking about it, I would even go down and say like 85% to 90% of the game I want to play on Linux, I can play. So this is how I choose my OS. Which one gives me the best capabilities of what I want to do and use in my day-to-day life? Well, Windows is the only one that gives me 100/100. If Windows on the software side was like, let's say, 70, Well, then I may have gone Linux because I get more software, but I'm losing a little bit of gaming. If Mac OS was 100% on gaming, well, then I would have ditched Windows. And this is how most people, they choose their, well, anything in life. But this is how most people choose their software suites also. It's like, it's not so much what I can use, it's what do I like? You know, when I was a mechanic, this is a screwdriver. It looks like a sword, but it's a screwdriver. We had companies coming into the shop almost weekly. And it was before, you know, we had all these Chinese knockoffs and all that shit, and the internet was still kind of new. But we still got some brands, like we have never heard about these brands before. And they seem to be good screwdrivers, or I use screwdrivers. It was everything from like knives, you know, box cutters to screwdrivers to ratchets to whatever you can think of a mechanic shop would have. They would be traveling salespeople because they were still a thing back then. In this field, but especially in this field, that would come with a big truck and they would be opening up and we could try different brands and all that fucking shit. And a screwdriver is a screwdriver. A ratchet is a ratchet. Some are more quality than others. Some box cutters are made better than others. But we are all different humans. We all have different hands. And they also are different sizes. They have different curves on here. You know, these curves here are a little bit different, depending on what screwdriver it is. So you find screwdrivers and ratchets and box cutters that you like to use because they fit your hand or how you like to work, or they give you just the right of torque to screw with. You know, so if you're not that strong, you may want one that has a bigger circumference here. So it gives you more torque, and if you have a lot of arm strength, you may want a smaller one. That also means you could get into smaller places and stuff like that. So it's not like we can't go with the cheapest knockoff that may break often, but it's so cheap we can replace it. It's just, you just get your preferences. And I worked in a place, we had, let's see, 8 mechanics or something like that. And it was rare to find a thing all mechanics preferred the same of. There may be 2 that like Milwaukee. There may be 3 of them that like DeWalt, but only certain things with DeWalt. So if we could choose what we really want to use and not what our bosses told us to use, there would be screwdrivers and tools from 10,000 different manufacturers. And it would not be like one manufacturer. It would be a screwdriver from this, a wrench from this, a box cutter from that company. But most of the time, they have shops back then had a deal with basically an importer, tools importer, and they would have like 5, 6, 7 brands, and you could choose within those 5 or 6, 7 brands. So a lot of mechanics, and this is the same for plumbers, for what are they called, carpenters, woodworkers, and stuff like that. They use a lot of different tools because they like this specific brand screwdriver, this specific brand's box cutters. And this is a thing I think that the nerd world, the software world, could learn a lot from. Because they think like, okay, if you like Adobe Photoshop, that means you like everything from Adobe. You can't like Adobe Photoshop and Audacity. Or if you like, let's say, embedded Linux, that means you also like Linux on the desktop. Because if you like Linux, you should like anything by Linux. And this is also a lot what the nerd world think. It's like, well, a photo editing software is a photo editing software. Especially the non-professional things like that. So, well, we have GIMP. If you want Photoshop, you want GIMP. No. Personal preference, how the UI looks, how it's laid out, the workflow, the same as a fucking screwdriver. A lot of choices is not logical, they are personal. So what works for you in an OS space don't work for me for that reason. I just like the workflow of this, or I like this game publisher, or I like this these kind of game genres, but there are more of them on Windows, and the ones that are on Linux, they don't work that well for some fucking weird reason or another. Or the alternative for the software I like to use is shitty in the open source world. It's not that I can't do it, or people can't do it. It's just like, why should I want to use a screwdriver I don't like when I can use a screwdriver that I like? They don't think about, is it made in a sweatshop or not a sweatshop? Is it made in China, not China? Is it made in America, not America? They don't care about that shit. I have a tablet here that I use to draw, you see on the screen with. That's a Chinese Wacom, or what is called Wacom, what they call drawing tablet knockoff. It's fucking amazing. It's half the price of the professional drawing tablets that do the same, but it's not the same quality. But I live stream once or twice a week. And this is where I primarily use it. Or I may record like 3 or 4 videos for like a few hours a week. 4 hours a week. I'm not sitting and drawing 8 hours a day. So for me, this is amazing. But if I gave this to like a professional drawer, like an artist, they would like hit me in the face with it, shove it up my ass, sew it together and tell me to eat like sticky rice for the rest of my life. In disgust. But it does everything these expensive tablets does. It's just not the same quality. The companionship software is mad. Like, I'm not joking. The companionship software for this one here, I don't know why, but it's like 5 gigabytes. And it's not really that big. It should only be like 400 megabytes in my opinion. I don't know why it downloads 5 gigabytes. I don't know if it's because it's downloading every fucking localization on Earth or something like that. But I was looking into deleting it on my laptop, and it was like 9 or 5 gigabytes. Like, holy fucking shit. So, yeah, it's it's a lot. I just like, okay, I just want to make sure this is not a copyright song. But I like it. It's cheap. It functions well. It's amazing. So this is like one of the things where I'm so fed up with the nerd world, and I do get why nerds and geeks get a lot of flack from everyone else, because they live in their own heads a lot of times where it's really difficult for them to understand, because they've never really experienced it, that the world is not just one thing. There's a reason why we have millions of these different things. You can use the debate of Linux distributions for this same reason. Why are there so many Linux distributions? Why are there so many screwdrivers? For the same reason. Personal choice. But when you think about it, there are only like 3 or 4 or 5 massive, widely used screwdriver companies. There are only really 3 or 4 widely recognized Linux distributions. All the rest are just niche, little boutique, micro, call it what you will, hobbyists that a few people really fucking love. Just like some people really love this homebrewed IPA from their local beer brewer. But they will not be successful in the rest of the world. And there's a place for that. Don't get me wrong. But in the end, no matter if it's clothes, software, screwdrivers, headsets, there will always be the big 3, the big 4. I think they say it's the big 3 to 4 players in the field. Everyone else is magnitude below the average adaptation. Why do we say Google and not Bing? Why do we say Photoshop and not Gimping? Why do everyone think every OS is Windows and not Mac OS and Linux? That's for the same reason. When you think about home improvement tools, why do you think DeWalt, Milwaukee, and Bosch? Because, 3 or 4 companies is all. When you think about something, you always think about these 3 or 4 big companies. You know there are others, but you always mention these 3 or 4 big companies in every field. Clothes, perfume, speaker systems. If you're into that area, there's always the top 3 or 4 that sits on 99 or 95% of the market. And in the operating system space, we have Windows, Mac, and Linux. And the number 1 is massively bigger than anyone else. Number 2 is kinda in the middle, and number 3 is like where you start to see 3 and 4 is where you start to see it's becoming a niche. And again, this is not just OS software; it's clothes, anything you can dream of. But the nerds don't see this, and I think they don't see this. And this is going to sound really bad, but forgive me for this. It's because they're not. They don't experience so much as the world as a plumber do. You know, they don't experience so much of the world as a cashier in a barber shop or in a clothes store does. Because they have to interact with a lot of different people. If you're a software engineer, you can have a job where you sit at home and never really leave your home. You can get deliveries and all that shit, and you only talk with your work and with other like-minded people that think like you on the internet. You can't do that as a plumber, a mechanic, a gardener, a financier, a HR person, a manager, because you have to deal with other personalities. And that means other ideas, contradicting ideas, in your opinion, and ideas that you don't subscribe to. But I think it's a really, really big, important lesson to have. And when I say software engineers, developers, nerds don't do that, I would say they're not doing it in the same degree that everyone else is doing it. Because they don't have to. But by not doing that, you are limiting the understanding of all of this. You don't really understand why this is a thing. Because you're not getting confronted with people that don't think like you all the time. 90% of a lot of nerds, hobbyists in the tech world, and professionals, especially after the coup virus, is super isolated, sadly enough. And depending on what company you work for, can be even more isolated if they're allowed to work from home every day and all that fucking shit. And I think it's a really, really, I'll not say bad thing, it's the circumstance of a situation, but I think it would, as much as a lot of developers, because a lot of them are introverts and engineers and software people, they are missing out. And of course, there are people that do this in those fields, but they are the minority, sadly enough. I am lucky enough that I've been a closet nerd developer for most of my life, but worked in the non-tech world for most of my life. Where I one day had a customer I dealt with that was amazing and fun, and then like an hour later, hated my guts just because they had to spend money on my services. And they didn't have the money, but they had to because or else they couldn't do their work. And then they took take that frustration out on me. Or they just did not like me because I was wearing a certain brand of shoes. Or I was too tall or too fat or whatever the fuck you can dream of. All of those things, if you're working in any place where you're dealing with different people all the time, you don't experience that in a year, you experience that in a day, in a lot of instances. From amazing, great interactions to like, if this was legal, I would be punching this dude in the face right now, or do dead in the face right now, and just deck them. And is that those like swings don't just come like a few times a day? It's all the fucking time, especially if you're like a store clerk, you're like you cashier and stuff like that. You have these like interactions probably more than anyone else. Like any service job you can think of where you're servicing humans, you have these things. But it also gives you an insight to how fucking different people are, but also how they're driven a lot by the same shit. It's not that alternatives are good enough. It's not that you can do this and this. It's not that, oh, you can save as much money on this. No, it's just like, what do they want? If they can afford it, they do it. If they can't afford it, they find the next best thing, in their opinion. And that may not be the next best thing in your opinion. But we all sit here, like right now, on the internet, and we are talking to a lot of people that kind of think alike, so therefore we're not getting that much bombarded with those contradicting ideas, sadly enough. But we need to. We need to. That's why I'm starting to sanitize my fucking... I barely watch any tech videos anymore. And I will talk about that when we go into the AISLOP later, but... Well, it's a really good segment into Twitch versus YouTube. So we need more Linux users. No, we need the Linux users, the Linux developers, the Microsoft developers, the Mac developers, the Mac users. When I say users, I mean the hardcore nerds. We need them to socialize more. I know I just opened Pandora's box, and every children out there right now in the tech world is like, I do this job because I hate humans. Yeah, but you're building stuff for humans, so you need to understand humans. The sad reality in this world is everything we do is in some way, shape, or form evolving other humans. And as much as I dislike humans in general, and other people may also, we need to understand them at a bare minimum to some degree. We can't just sit and say, oh, everyone is like me, because they are not. There are more people that are not like you and think like you than there are people that think like you and are like you. And all of those things you don't get if you're a developer sitting in a room or office that barely interact with other people. Because then you don't understand the bug. You don't understand, why is this a bug? Why is this UI element a bug? Or why is it taking X seconds a bug? I mean, for you it's not a bug because you understand what's going on in the background and you know it's doing some complicated math. They don't know that. They don't want to know that. And you don't understand why they don't want to know that, because you don't talk with them. Or why is everyone, like, Linux is this like messiah came down from us from the Finnish guard's testicles when he had like a clam explosion of a fucking epiphany doing Linux because he was a cheap ass. Why is everyone not using Linux? Because of all of the things I just talked about right now. Another really good example I tend to use to a lot of people is like, right now you can sit, Scooby just cured cancer, but he's really shy. So nobody knows he cured cancer. So he don't become a billionaire. He don't help the world. He don't get a Nobel Prize. He just sit at home and be like, at least me and my friends don't die from cancer. As much as I hate saying this, this life is about humans. You know, where are the users? They don't care. This is one of the biggest, this is the biggest epiphany I had as a Linux user, like a hardcore toxic Linux user, was the day I understood, I got told by too many people, I just don't care, bro. I don't give a fuck. And when you get told that enough, and you realize that most people don't care about Windows can be the worst fucking piece of shit. Most people don't want to move in because it's like, yeah, the crime rates are going up where I live, but it will go down, you know, like, yeah, they just built a skyscraper, I can't see the forest, but it will be better at some point. Most people don't want to do a lot of fucking hassle if it's not super necessary. And here's the thing, with all the bullshit Windows, Microsoft is doing with Windows, it still works. It's just a little bit slower, there's a little bit more irritations, but it still works. It still does everything you want it to do. And people are not that fussed about 2 degrees lower temperature or a fan that runs 1 decibel lower when they have the noise cancelling headset on anyway. The users will come to Linux when Linux make them want to come to Linux. When Linux is at a point that users started to care about Linux. And I'm not talking about your nerd or your tech YouTuber. I'm talking about your mom and dad. And for that to happen, that means that Linux has to provide something that Microsoft and macOS is not providing them, or Apple. A lot of the reasons why Apple users are using macOS is the hardware. It's the, like Layman says, it's the iPhone, it's the smartwatches, it's the ecosystem. Linux don't really have an ecosystem. Linux don't make hardware. Linux is an OS. Even Windows have a better ecosystem than Linux has, where you can do everything in the same place. And people are creatures of conveniences. That's what they want. So a lot of people say, oh, we don't want Linux to be more like Microsoft or macOS. Well, then you don't get more users. Linux has to do something spectacular that nobody else is doing, while also do what everyone else is doing just as good. So, and I know this is really strange, but in most people's eye, Linux has to do exactly what Windows and macOS is doing to the same degree or better, and it also has to do something that they are not doing for them to switch over to it. Because they have to make a conscious decision to not want to stay there anymore. But if Linux is just doing the exact same thing as Windows and macOS, either as good or a little bit worse, why the fuck should I switch then? To get a little bit worse experience, or to get the exact same experience that I'm getting here, just so I can say like I'm out of Microsoft grabs, which most people don't give a fuck about anyway. Look, for the 5 people watching this live stream, you would not even care about that being in Microsoft grasp, because you are on a website right now that takes more telemetry than Windows does. You have a user account, no matter how many VPNs you're behind and all that shit, that knows more about you than Windows does and Microsoft does. You're using a product from a company that is the worst when it comes to anti-consumerism and data, personal data gathering. The worst, Google. The company on earth that has the most outrageous lawsuits against them for anti-consumerism and data gathering. But we all here. So how much do we really care? Google is so bad that they stole passwords when they did the whole Google Maps thing. And to not get into a massive fucking lawsuit with the United States, they were like, well, let's work together. So they gave the United States all these passwords, and the lawsuit just mysteriously got away. So the DoD got a really good deal, and Google now have a department that deals with governments like that, so they don't get sued. They're just like, well, you could sue us, but we have a lot of data you may want. So if you wonder why Google, and this is not really putting a tinfoil hat on, this is like, you can find this online if you want to. Google get away with a lot of shit, because a lot of the shit that they do that is bad, they give to people that want it, so they don't do anything to them. Microsoft kind of do the same, but not to the same degree. If you take Microsoft and Google and weigh them up against each other, It's like Google. If Google is 10 out of 10, Microsoft is like a 2 out of 10 when it comes to how bad it is for society and your data and your privacy and all that shit. Google is the company everyone wants to be when it comes to gathering data, information, owning people's minds and stuff like that. Google is the company everyone wants to be. When we're talking about privacy and data collection, Microsoft's Windows is not the worst. It's just trying to be Google. But here we sit and use Google products right now and we bitch and moan about Windows and privacy. Kind of see the weirdness of it here. But it's because Google do a real good job at not really showing that face to the public. Where Microsoft, they're a little bit more vulgar with it. Especially under the Steve Ballmer days. So, what can Linux do to win over Microsoft? Well, you first have to look at it. It's not about winning over Microsoft. It's not like winning over... proprietary software is not bad. It's how humans utilize proprietary software that's bad. Open source software is not good. It's how humans utilize open source software. And most of them do it in a good fashion. Most of them. And today's age, most of proprietary software is doing some dubious thing. But a software license don't dictate good or bad. It's how it's being utilized and what the code is doing behind it. AKA what the humans tells it to do. And that's what Linux needs to, or the Linux world needs to understand. They don't have to outcompete proprietary software. Get that out of your fucking head. Proprietary software will never go away. They don't have to outcompete, well, they can't have, they don't have to see themselves as at war with Windows. Because that's a war they will never win. Because Windows will never go away. Just like Mac OS will never go. It will be around in some form or shape or another. What they have to do is like figure out what can we do to attract users. And that is going out and asking people what they want and give them that. And give them it in a better way that makes sense for them. If I want you, Scooby, to... I just built a car. I have a car brand right now. If I make it out of fucking hemp or something like that, and I'm like, why are you not driving my organic car? I'd be like, I don't want that. That's not for me. That's not for us. That's not for my family. I'm like, tell you all of the reasons why it should be. You're still not going to fucking buy it. But if I ask you, hello, Mr. Scooby, and your amazing wife, and I don't know if you have kids, but kids, what do you guys want to buy my car? And you give me a list and I give you that. What do you wish extra? I give you all of that. I give it to you in a compatible price. Maybe extended warranties and all that shit. Now you will buy my car. If it gives you everything you want and more than the competitor, then you will do, and that's what Linux has to do. It has to just give people what they want. And then a little bit extra, and that's it. I want gas cars. Well, then I should not make an EV car and try and sell it to you. You know? You see what I'm coming from. And that's how the Linux world should think. They should not be at war. They can have a preference, of course, with we don't like the way proprietary software is done, so we don't do that. We don't like the way Microsoft is running Windows, so they don't do that. But they should not see it as a fucking war. It's not like they're not liberating a fucking country here. But that's how they think. If Linux focuses more on how can we make Linux better for the average human, they will get so fucking much further than they are getting today. And how do they do that? Instead of yelling and screaming and telling how better they are than everyone else and smarter than anyone, because I can install Arch Linux, by the way, go talk to the Windows users. Why are you still using Windows? What would it take for you to not use Windows? And then give them all of that. Why, Adobe, why are you not supporting Linux? Okay, what do you need to support Linux? Do you need money? Do you need developers? Do you need time? Do you need access? And then give them that. But what the Linux world does, and a lot of the developers does, they demand you have to support Linux because we are better. How dare you being an evil company that only do it proprietary and only support other proprietary companies? That's not how you get people to support you. Actually, I'm on an AI Tesla. I'm split with Teslas. Like, I don't... So again, I'm a petrol head. I like the sound of an engine and all that fucking shit, but trust me. Everyone knows this, but if you put a big exhaust and manifold and tune up your car so it's loud and proud, if you drive 2 hours in that car, you want to fucking shoot your head out. I had a car that was like massively fucking tuned and all that fucking shit, and if I drove to the other end of the country to visit my family, I had to put ear mufflers on. It was that loud. It was fast as fuck and it sounded amazing for like 30 minutes. Then you don't want to listen to like boom. Like, you can't fucking have a normal conversation. You barely can hear the music because the exhaust and intake are so fucking loud, and you hear I didn't have turbo on or compressor, but you hear them fucking whining all the time. So all of that, excitement cars, as I call them, are great for a weekend, like the Porsche and Lambos and stuff like that. But I do see the appeal if you're driving a lot, especially with a family. An EV is like quiet as fuck. So I get that. But I still think that the range needs to get better, and the charging needs to get better. We are getting there. Basically the infrastructure. So the battery technology needs to get better, the efficiency of the engines needs to get better, and the infrastructure needs to get better. And that's just a matter of time. Give it some years and that will come there. But I'm not totally against EVs. It's not more environmental, because those batteries are making a worse impact making and storing and get rid of than fossil cars fuel is. Like, it's not from an environmental standpoint. But if you're driving 4 hours, 10 hours a day, that some people are doing, maybe 10 hours is a little bit extreme, but 4 to 5 hours a day, it would be nice to basically have a car that's your living room. You get what I'm coming at? Well, funny enough, Elon Musk is not one of the worst one when it comes to data collection. Like, he's not the best, but he's... Elon Musk is one of those people, he has a lot of good intentions. He just have a really bad habit at doing a lot of things with the worst people on Earth. And then he has to, they do some weird shit in his name. And sometimes he do it because he wants to suck up to them, I guess. I don't know why. And then he has, these breakups, He's like, I denounce them, and then there's lawsuit left, right, and center, and all of these things. But I think with Elon Musk, his head and his mind and his heart is in the right place. He just don't have the social skills to do it in the right way. If he had been a little bit more social adept, he would not have gotten into business with Sir Altman, for example. And you can go in the political route and say there's a lot of people, if he was a little bit socially aware, he would probably not do that either. If he was a little bit socially aware, he would probably not even have bought Twitter. So he is a little bit of his own worst enemy, because he is on the spectrum. And he does a lot of things just because he wants to, or because he thinks it's funny, and then it's going to, or because he's like, well, I'm giving people the benefit of the doubt and all that fucking shit, and it's biting me in the ass. Let's get into this Twitch versus YouTube, because I have some thoughts. I will really love Lame and Scooby's opinion of this. So, my timeline on YouTube is just fucking shit. I've been trying to watch, so I'm watching a lot of videos from someone called Rob CD. He's basically just cycling across Japan. That's all he does. Cycling around in Tokyo, Japan and stuff like that. Really great Australian dude. Go watch him. And I'm watching a lot of traveling IRL science videos, stuff like that. I still get trauma thrown in my face. Not as much as I did before, but it's still like 25% of my recommended feed is still channels I would not watch. It was way worse before when I did watch one of them once, because they are, sometimes you're like, what the fuck are they on about? And you watch one video, and then your whole timeline is just fucking filled with drama and negativity, and it just makes you a worse human. I've never felt better after I stopped doing this like a few months ago. Which then made me go over to Twitch, because they don't really have a recommendation feed and timeline like that, other than what you subscribe to. But it's just filled with fucking ads all over the place. But they do have a better live streaming platform, but just not for what we are doing here. But I honestly think YouTube may be like... Let me put it in this way. A lot of people moved away from Twitch because of censorship and no discoverability and stuff like that. Because it's still there. The censorship is still a little bit of an issue on Twitch. And Twitch is also the richer gets more rich. YouTube is getting there when it comes to censorship. There's a lot of things you can't say on YouTube you can say on Twitch, which baffled me. Like, we have a joke here. You hear a lot of Europeans say this about American television and YouTube. It's like, you cannot say the F word, or you should not say it, but you can sniff cocaine off a hooker and shoot her in the face. That's monetizable and fine. But you can't say fuck, or talk about intercourse, or vaginas and stuff like that. Especially not see the C word. They go really nuts with that one. But you can talk about how the last night you ran a pitchfork up someone's ass. That's fine. Or you took an AR and went nuts in a barn in a game. That's fine. And when you think about it, what is ruining society the most? You don't see people going around going mental in public places because they hear the word fuck or the C word, or someone is making a joke about a woman's vagina clitoris. So it's YouTube has become such a minefield to navigate that it's not fun anymore. You cannot be creative on YouTube anymore. You still kind of can on Twitch, and especially on Kick you can. And I have a feeling, because I've seen more and more people doing this, and this kind of ties into the AISLOP that we'll get to. This is not the right order, I should put an AISLOP in front of membership. But then you're dealing with all this AISLOP, mass-produced content that 10,000 channels is producing the same video done in AI because people are clicking on, because people just want dopamine fixes. But again, we'll go to that in AISLOP. So you cannot be creative on YouTube anymore, because you have to be Mr. Rogers. The reason why people came to YouTube was because they want real humans with their flaws and warts and everything. But YouTube was so fixated on being as sanitized as possible because of ad revenue. They think that they get more ads if everyone's Mr. Rogers, which they don't. And here's the thing. There's an easy way for advertisers to say we don't want to monetize an X, Y, and Z video. Just let them choose. YouTube should not censor the content, in my opinion, unless it's illegal. Because I see more and more people are going either live streaming on YouTube or going over to Twitch and Kick and live stream. And then YouTube is just a dumping ground where they just dump the live stream, or they do a little bit what I'm doing, where they take like clips out and make them into individual videos. And it's just like, they hope they make a little bit of money on YouTube, but their main money maker is outside YouTube. And that is going to be unsustainable for YouTube, because then they don't care if their video gets demonetized. If their reliance on revenue is not coming from YouTube itself. If YouTube is just like a garbage collector, basically, or an advertisement place for their other, their Patreons, Ko-fi Me, Buy Me Coffee, Twitch Kicks places. So yeah, if we make a little bit of money, YouTube, that's fine, but we don't care if we get demonetized for saying fuck. Or if we are talking too much politics, or X, Y, and Z. And you can see a lot of medium to big content creators are doing this in all spaces. Anything from education to gaming. Or what a lot of the big ones do right now, you know, the big live streamers that do a lot of commentary and stuff like that, they would be like, editor, we pay your basic salary plus what you can make from the clips channel. So the editor owns the clip channel. And they get 100% of the revenue from the clips channel. Plus like a basic income from editing. A lower than average, of course. So they have to deal with the minefield that is YouTube. It's one of the reasons why I'm going more live streaming, to be honest. It's also one of the reasons why I'm not uploading that much anymore. Because I'm getting so many videos where it's like, you're on the edge, or I step up and say the C word in a joke, and then a 2-hour live stream is demonetized. And then what people do, they do sponsorship in videos because it costs money to make this shit. Like I just invested, this is something you will see like in a month or so, but I've invested what was it? $300 into the channel. I do that a few times a year. I don't have to do that. I can spend those money on games and other fucking shit that gives me more rewarding stuff. But I like doing this. I like talking to you guys and stuff like that. But you can see how irritating it is that you want to do something, but you cannot be a creative, and you're investing more and more money because you have to compete with more and more well-produced channels, which is both a good or bad thing, I guess. But then you also have to deal with the asshats that's in the comment section a lot of times. And deal with YouTube's weird ass, like every fucking week, as a content creator, you get an email with adjustments to the TOS. So think about it basically like this. This is like really roughly speaking, but it's like, this week you can't do this, you can't say these words and blah blah blah. And it just keeps getting added onto it. At some point on YouTube, it becomes like we can barely say, hello, how are you doing? It would be like, good greetings, good sir, ma'am, they, them, you know, like all the pronouns is in the world and all that shit. And then YouTube will not have a platform anymore, other than being a dumping ground. So statistically, Twitch is losing content creators because of the same reason. They're going to Kick and other avenues. YouTube is still the biggest platform creatively, but it's also stagnating to some degree. And if they are not careful, it's going to be just a dumping ground. And I feel like we're almost there. So if you want to talk about something that will make people move from, like, you know, like we talk Windows, Linux, if it becomes so hostile or so difficult to live in that or function in that area, people will move. And YouTube, Twitch is showing this, and YouTube is not far behind. Twitch has opened up a lot the last year or so with what they allow and don't allow. But YouTube gets more and more strict. And at some point, it becomes like you're going to Sunday school. And nobody wants to do that. Just like Microsoft don't know what their users and customers, how they think and want anymore. YouTube don't understand what makes YouTube successful. They think what's going to make YouTube successful is these overly produced Mr. Beast, don't get me started on Mr. Beast, he's a fucking problem in of itself. If you want me to rant about Mr. Beast, type 1 in chat, because I have some really strong opinion about him. He's actually an evil person, when you think about it. Like, a massively evil person. And selfish. Probably also a little bit like sociopath mixed in with it. But again, type 1 if you want me to rant about that. If there's anyone left in chat, by the way. Where was I? Yeah. YouTube was great because it was like, I don't want to see the weatherman. I don't want to see the newscaster. I want to see an average fucking Joe in a dirty ass t-shirt, put in a little bit of swear words, maybe a little bit too many whiskeys, talking about a subject because he's more raw or she's more raw and honest about it. That was what made YouTube a thing. Or someone showcasing the real life experience or something. Not a, let's put out the best picture of us and what this experience is. No, this is how it is with bad fucking audio, bad recording, but it was raw, it was authentic. YouTube has lost the authenticity. Just like Twitch has. Twitch just did it before YouTube, and YouTube is about to lose it now. Massively. And YouTube has become cable television. Just look at how many ads we have. You want better produced shit, cost money, the content creators has to get it somewhere, so they're pushing membership, they're pushing in-ads, videos, in-ad video breaks, they are pushing merchandise and all that shit they barely did back in the day, like 15 years ago. And the only reason why they're doing it is because YouTube forced them to do so. And I forgot to locally record this fucking live stream. Ugh. Let's do that then. Like, how long are we into it? Like an hour into it? But yeah, that's the creativity. Then you mix in AISLOP. So not only do YouTube want you to be Mr. Rogers online all the time, they love to serve you drama because it's really difficult and hard to not click on something that makes you emotional. That's why they're doing it. Now you also have to compete or be confronted with the same video getting reproduced just with another voiceover by 10 million, not 10 million, but like hundreds of channels that is all done with AI because they can slop it out like like in seconds. Luckily enough, YouTube is starting to, because it is discoverable, you can discover it on a meta level. And YouTube has become starting to now demonetize channels that is not original content anymore. So if they can see like the same videos being uploaded like 10 times or 15 times, 100 times, but if that video is just, again, a landing page to something else or channeling people to an off-site website, it don't fucking matter. It don't matter if there's 10,000 videos that AISLOP that in the end is promoting a link or a website that's off YouTube, because that's where they make their money for the people that do click on the link. YouTube think that a lot of people are on YouTube because YouTube makes them money. Most people are on YouTube because it's the biggest audience. Most people don't make their money on YouTube. They make some money on YouTube, but not a lot of money on YouTube. They do that on Patreon, their live streams, either on or off YouTube, merchandise, ad breaks in videos and stuff. That's where they make their money. So demonetizing a video don't really fucking matter. If they still put in ad breaks, and AI can do that also. They can put in ad breaks, they can say call to action, go to this website to get 10% off, blah, 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 and you get the idea here. So they are censoring and restricting people to high heaven. they need to do something with all this mass-produced AISLOP bullshit and shorts and stuff like top 10 videos and all that fucking shit. And demonetizing is not the answer, because who gives a fuck? A lot of them have links to off-site websites in them. And that's where they make the money. They want you to go there. So again, all they're doing with the way that they're running YouTube right now is they're just making it a dumping ground for everything, because it's the biggest. I think they have like 2 billion plus users or something like that. So you kind of have to have content on YouTube, no matter where you make your money as a virtual creative person. You have to be on YouTube. It should just not be your main income. And I honestly feel like if YouTube don't get their head around this, it's going to be a cesspool of AI-generated slop, and it's going to be a lot of YouTube is the place you get the preview to the real content. So you watch like a preview or like an extended trailer, what you will call, and like, oh, if you want the uncensored real video, do my membership, go to Ko-fi, Coffee Me, Buy Me Coffee, go to my Discord, go to my website, go to my live stream. You know, that's where you get the real content. But for YouTube, there's no money in that, because then they will just demonetize everything, and will, if no videos, or 90% of the videos that they know on their site don't run ads, YouTube makes no money. And there's nothing we or the user can do. So, my real question here was, again, if anyone is in here, what if your favorite content creator went over to Twitch or Kick? How many of you guys and girls do you think will follow over there? Because I think not a lot. Because YouTube have done something really good, and they're really good at, like I said, feeding the dopamines. So they're really good at feeding content that you want to click on. Twitch don't have that. Kick don't have that. The other YouTube competitors don't really have that either. TikTok, to some degree, is like driven by that. I feel like YouTube will become this fast burger place. It's becoming McDonald's. We know we should not eat it. We know we should not go in there, but we do it all the time and just poisoning our bodies. But YouTube is becoming a mind slop place. You go in there for the shorts. You go in there for the 10-15 minute quick dopamine fixes, and a lot of those videos will be made by AI. You don't go in there for your podcast. You don't go in there for your live stream. But it's where you spend most of the time. And that also means that you're not really getting anything. Like, you're not getting any knowledge, so to speak. And if I don't care how fucking smart you think you are, you cannot acquire any meaningful knowledge in 30 seconds. You get what I'm coming at here? Twitch is limited. You will do fine because you have a following of YouTube too, but I think it has a bigger potential audience. Well, YouTube has a bigger potential audience because there's more users. It's just like YouTube, the platform itself, is working against you getting discovered. Because of the things I just talked about with the censorship, demonetization, and AISLOP. And a lot of people that go onto YouTube has become so used to it, and they get fed the exact right content that they want most of the time, that they're not going away. So it's the same reason, like when I did a lot of I used to do a lot of Linux tutorial videos, and people are like, why are you not doing that? You sit here and say like, Linux users and this content creators are stupid, and why don't know what they're talking about. Why do you not do a tutorial? Because nobody watches it. And that's the problem with YouTube. What people say they go on YouTube for and what they actually consume are two different things. The same people that say do this, do that, and then I do it the next day or the week after, they are not in the comment section, they are not in Discord saying, hey, you actually did what I told you to do, or nice seeing you going back to educational content again, or stuff like that. Even the likes are massively below average. And that's the illusion that YouTube is providing. You are thinking, well, not wrongfully, of course, I'm not blaming the viewer here, but you are thinking you're getting a 5-star meal, but you're getting McDonald's. But the way they make you feel and the way that they present it is like it's a 5-star chef you think that's providing it to you. The waitress, a waiter you think is 5-star waitress. The house or the restaurant looks like a 5-star restaurant, but you're still getting a cheeseburger, a McDonald's cheeseburger. And then they're like, do you want this Angus beef steak? And you're like, yeah, and then they're giving you a piece of that and another cheeseburger. And they're asking you again, do you then want like a France baguette? And you said, yeah, and then you're getting another cheeseburger. Because it's a little bit, it would take us 10-20 minutes to make the France baguette, but you get a cheeseburger right now. I'm taking the cheeseburger. And that's what YouTube does. They do have a lot of great content on here. But they then look at your feed. There's a lot of shit on there. If you sit down and think about it, you're like, why is that there? And that's because you clicked on similar content before. Why would I watch this? This makes me angry. This makes me emotional. This makes me sad. Because you clicked on stuff like that before. Because we are humans that are driven by emotions. And then you mix in AIs, because AISLOP can do this like faster than anyone else. Because you don't have to build a really good video. You don't have to do a really, really great subject. You just have to do something that makes people emotional. Like I'm like, not to toot my own horn here, but I'm really good at pissing off Linux users. Like I'm really good at pissing. I know what buttons to click for them to get angry, and I do that sometimes on my videos. And if you look at the videos where I do that, they get thousands of views. Versus if I'm like, this is how you do X, Y, and Z in Linux, or this is what distribution would get you most out of, barely get anything. And it's not just me, it's all other content. There are how-to and tutorial content creators that have stopped doing educational content for this exact reason. And then they do opinionated content instead. Because people click on the opinionated more than they click on the other stuff. And YouTube promote it, while also want this place to be Mr. Rogers. So it's this duality that we want to give you, like I said, like the 5-star Michelin experience. But in reality, we want to give you McDonald's cheeseburgers because it's fast, it's cheap, but we can give you thousands of it. And it will kick, because there's so many artificial stuff in it, that it will trigger your dopamines way more than the 5-star dinner will do. Like, you can eat McDonald's cheeseburgers till you fall out and die. You cannot eat a 5-star restaurant meal till you die, because it will fill you up because it's so good quality. And you will be saturated, and you will say, this is enough. Like, there's a reason why a lot of junk food is super, not sugary, salty. Because then you sell your shit ton of sodas. You know, it's this cycle where if we do this to our food, you consume more of this other thing in McDonald's or Burger King or whatever, Wendy's, wherever you go. And that is exactly how YouTube are run right now. But they also want the you know, like the public image to be this Mr. Rogers 5-star Michelin restaurant. So they're trying to trick you into stay on the platform as much as possible. Consume a shit ton of junk food you don't really want. And you feel bad after it because I just wasted 2 hours basically doing nothing. But then you want to highlight, oh, we have these massive content creators to do these in-depth podcasts and stuff like that, and they do get a lot of views. Don't get me wrong. But if you take all the Joe Rogans and what the fuck podcast? Joe Rogan's actually the only podcast. Lex Fridman and all these big podcasters, they are like, the views they get combined is nothing compared to all the slop views, all the mindless shorts views and top 5 videos. If you take all of them combined, they make YouTube way more money than Joe Rogan would ever do, or Lex Fridman, or DJ Ware, or something like that. But they need those people on YouTube so they can say, look, we are not a junk food place. Look, we actually have censorship and we demonetize and stuff like that. And if they don't stand behind what they want to look like, then YouTube will be a dumping ground where people don't give a fuck about YouTube. It will be even more AISLOP. It will be call to action videos, like see the real video on this side, or come to this side and buy. It will be like home shopping networking. You're not there for the entertainment. You're there to get where should I go next? Or you get trapped into like a doom scrolling session that takes 5 or 4 hours. Which is really bad. But yeah, a lot of quality content creators are moving away from, well, they're doing it on their own website like they did back in the day, before YouTube really became a thing. Or they are live streaming like we are doing now, and then they're just clipping it on YouTube and then hoping that people will come on the live stream and then do the whole sub membership, whatever platform you're on, kind of thing. Which goes into my next one. What makes you become a member of a channel? What should the channel provide for you to become a membership? Let's say it's a $5 membership. I think that's the one they recommend as a minimum now. Is it 3 or 5? I can't remember. Because YouTube get a cut of that. So do Twitch and all the other platforms. And that also means they're less reliant on ad revenue. But I feel that a membership should not be needed. If I can explain it, a membership should just be a recurring donation. So instead, like, oh, if you have tier 1, 2, and 3, and you get these bonuses, it should just be every month I want to donate X, Y, and Z money. That's how it should be, in my opinion. And the content creators should make most of their money off the ads from the site, like it was back in the day. I think that's the most fair for the user, and it's more fair for the content creator, and it's best for the platform. Because that means less pushing links, advertisement, affiliate in the video. Because you don't have to, because you get enough or a basic good enough income from just ad revenue. From the first 2 or 3 ads they send you in the beginning, or maybe in the middle and at the end. That the current donation is just if people are inclined to do so. Because I don't know if people can remember this, like 15 years ago, and before that, before that, you barely saw anyone pushing membership, merchandise. At the end of the video, they may be like, oh, we have this new shirt out, and that's it. you know, that will be it. And there will be almost no ad breaks in the video, like non-YouTube ad breaks. And YouTube will play like 30-second at most ads in the beginning. And maybe if it's like a 30-minute video at the 15-minute mark and at the end. There'll be, so in 30 minutes you got like 1.5 minutes of ads. And that was enough that people could live off YouTube being like in the hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Not the 800 or 500,000 you needed today. To just get like a good enough basic income from ad revenue that you could actually somewhat live off YouTube. Where nowadays, if you want to, let's say you only want to do YouTube, you have to push a shit ton of merchandise, you have to have like a massive sponsor of the video, basically just like cable television. And YouTube don't get any money of those things. They try to make it so they do, but they can't. Because if Jay's 2 cents or Linus Tech Tips can't have a massive sponsor in their video on YouTube, they would just go to other places. Why the fuck do you think Linus Tech Tips made Floatplane? It's for the same reason. They don't, like, technically they're so big they don't need YouTube anymore. Even with the people following them, because they will lose subscribers. There is a lot of dormant subscribers. They will lose them. And subscribers that only watch them because it's convenient, because they're on YouTube. But Joe Rogan showed this really perfectly when he moved to Spotify. Yes, he got like a massive pot of gold, but he didn't really lose that much viewership, comparatively. Because people just wait on Spotify. The one that followed him every day, they just watch Spotify. Spotify had ads, who gives a fuck? YouTube have ads. It's as much as Microsoft don't know what the users are doing, I think YouTube, or what the users want, I think YouTube is on the same delusional fucking mindset. They have no idea what's going on. And the same with Twitch to some degree, but Twitch, I feel Twitch is instead better because AI and live content don't mix. It's really hard to make an AI generated live stream that's interactable. And if we are not careful, YouTube will be a place where the only original content you will see is live streams. And then the content creator will just have an AI that takes out the best moments and make like a catchy video and put that on YouTube. They don't even need an editor anymore. And if there is non-live stream content on YouTube, that's 100% AI generated with the notion of diverting you to spend money on other sites. So think about that idea a little bit. That all the primary thing you're getting on YouTube is either AISLOP that want you to go to other sites and spend money. It's AI edited clips from live streams, or AI generated original, in quotes, content that then will, again, as I said, divert you onto other platforms. I don't think that's a place a lot of YouTube viewers want to live right now. Because you have to think, like back in the day, you committed yourself to about a 15-minute video. That was about the average. Now I think it's like 30. Before YouTube wants to promote you because they want, you to stay on the platform longer. Because then they can serve you more ads. But back in the day, it was like, for each content creator, you may see 1 or 2 15-minute videos a day. Mostly will be 15-ish to, let's say 50 to 30 minutes videos, like 2 or 3 times a week. a week. Now, because this is how YouTube wants you to do it, so again you stay longer, it's 30 minutes plus 1 to 3 times a day you have to upload. So you as a viewer have to commit to this. But most of this is now AI shit. So what's the next thing? Well, you have to commit to a 2-hour plus live stream. How many people are willing to do that? That's why live streaming in general don't get that many views to stay from the end to the beginning, from the start to the end, because they typically are 2, 4, 5 hours long. So the requirement for YouTube, if you're doing original content, has gotten up. I mean, the requirement for the content creator to make longer and longer content, because again, they want you to serve this 5-star meal, so they want you to look they're on their website a lot. But you as a viewer, you can learn a lot in 30 minutes. You can learn a decent amount in 15 minutes, or get an idea in 15 minutes. You can learn a shit ton in 2 hours, but most people don't want to spend 2+ hours every fucking day on YouTube. Unless they are in a doom session scrolling madness, trance, and they forgot time and place. So the two worlds don't mix together anymore. It fit really well together when it was 15 to 30 minutes for the average content, 30 minutes plus if you want to go in depth. And with the ad structure where the ads actually paid money back in the day. That also meant most users didn't use ad blockers, because it was a fair transaction. But now YouTube wants to stay on the platform longer. Well, is it easy to get to stay on the platform longer watching me or Joe Rogan or Lex Freeman or Primer and do a massive long coding stream? Or is it easier to get you just swiping down on your phone, where you get served 10,000 shorts that most likely are AI generated and you learn nothing? Or get you to watch a 5-10 minute video that's AI generated and you learn nothing, but you go from the next to next to next to next to next, which just hits all the dopamines. That's super much easier to get you staying on the platform. So they say they want this, but they don't make it easy for the human to stay within this form here with the competition, the AI. So what they are serving, the hamburger here, it's the doom scrolling, either in shorts or AI slop, human slop or AI slop generated content. So top 5, top 10, clickbaity title here, weird ass thumbnail here. So you're not clicking on the videos anymore because, oh, I want to learn about this, I want to understand this. You're like, this gave me an emotional reaction, or this is entertaining for 30 seconds. That's why most people click on shit on YouTube nowadays. But that also kills creativity. You see a lot of the big YouTubers, they upload less and less and less because of this. And then they're focusing, because they have a lot of money now, so they're either retiring or they're focusing on non-creative avenues like real businesses and stuff like that. Merchandise deals and well, look what Mr. Beast are doing. Doing that kind of thing. But it actually made me want to watch Twitch more, because it has less discoverability. Because then you're getting served no AI bullshit. And you're getting served non-rage baiting, emotional content from people that just want to make a quick buck and don't know what the fuck, or don't know what they're talking about. It's more word of mouth kind of thing. So you really have to stand out and be good to get discovered. And I'm starting to feel that maybe less discoverability may be a good thing. Because the easier you are to discover, the easier it is to game the system. With nonsense. So again, the easier it is to produce, the easier it is to produce shit McDonald's versus a 5-star restaurant. They are harder to get the rating, 5-star Michelin. It's harder to maintain. You need to uphold a certain quality, which is hard and difficult to do consistently. But for the few that do, it's amazing. But it also means a lot of people cannot have this as a hobby anymore. And as a viewer, you're either getting served with a lot of bullshit slop doom scrolling, or these like basically corporate shill kind of thing, like a lot of big people are becoming nowadays, which is not talking of itself. You know, like Mr. Beast kind of content. Which I think is sad, because the gems, the nuances are in the middle ground. So what I typically do on Twitch, I only follow like 3 or 4 big channels. Mob CD has like 300 something followers on Twitch. I follow him and a few others, but mostly the content that I consume, they have under 200 views live. Because I feel that from 0 to 200, that's where they are most authentic. Most of there's of course a lot of big streamers that are authentic, but that's where I find like they are most authentic. The same on YouTube. I would say like 0 to 500,000. Is where you find people being the most authentic. I'm not saying there are millions subscriber counts and the millions that are authentic, but that bracket point is in my opinion where you find the most authentic, because they are not shilling as much, they are not playing the game as much, if at all. What else? What was the right words here? They are they're doing what they want instead of what the algorithm or the trends say they want to do. They don't get much sponsored streaming or content. And then if you go over the 200, maybe 400 live viewers on Twitch, but when you go over there or over the 500,000 mark, it's where a lot of people, they start to like, okay, we're making it a business now. So they become more conservative, they play more by the rules, which they should of course, but they get less raw and authentic. But it's really difficult to get to that point right now because of all the AISLOP and YouTube's what is it called? Censorship. That's one of the reasons why I want to press out in like walks and stuff like that, because people don't want to be educated anymore. People don't want to learn online anymore unless it's because of school or work. But school and work, they have their own way of educating people now. YouTube, live streaming, online content creation has become a slop fest. AI and human generated. It's all about, look at Asmongold, a gamer turned reaction political commentator. Why? Because he gets 3 times, 4 times the view and money doing that shit. He still do some games, but a lot of people that started out as good, wholesome, entertaining gamers or educators, they end out in the opinionated reaction field, because that's what people love, seeing people disagreeing. People love seeing people arguing. People love seeing people get frustrated and angry over other people's ideas and thoughts. That's not a world I want to live in. Reasons why I stopped reacting to Linux content. I did not like doing it, but it gave me a lot of views. I did not like the person I have to be by doing it. It gave me a lot of views. Because this is what people actually want. And now you're also seeing a lot of people, they are starting to leave content creation for against exact same reason. And this video that I'm making right now, this video, well, I feel like I'm talking to myself, but you get what I'm coming at here. Like, the last 6 months to a year, I've seen a lot of people, small and big, addressing this exact problem that I'm talking about right now. 1 million subs to 5 subs on YouTube. And this is just my 2 cents, so to speak, of the matter. But there's so many people that are retiring, stepping back, reformatting their content structure because of this whole thingy here. And I would love to be able to ask the viewers, why is this? Because it's the viewer, that are driving this change by your action. But if I ask, I know I will get a lie, because like I said, a lot of people say, oh, but we want this and this and this. I can see what you do and not what you say you're doing in my metrics. So can any other content creator. Sometimes down to the person, we cannot see your watch history, but we can see what you as a user are interacting with on, or commenting on and stuff like that on our channel to some degree. So we get a lot of this, yeah, but we want this 5-star meal. But then we see only the same person on the McDonald's menu creeping out and be like, I want some monster on the cheeseburger, blah, blah, blah. You know, like going mental in the cheeseburger factory. But they pretend in their own brain and tell everyone that they go to the 5-star Michelin restaurant. But YouTube is telling the content creator, and the content creator can see in their metrics that said user and the same kind of people that are saying that are sitting and munching the cheeseburgers in front of them. So I would love to understand, like, is it intentionally? Like, are the users or the viewers sitting there and say, like, we are embarrassed that we're spending 5 hours doom scrolling short, so therefore we are telling the content creators that we want more of a thing that we don't consume? Or do you guys think that the viewers just don't understand it? Like, they don't get it before it's too late? Like I said, you hear a lot of people that are like, oh shit, I've been sitting here for an hour doom scrolling shorts. Because that's what I would love to believe, is that the viewers on YouTube just don't fucking know that they are consuming more of the cheeseburger than the content that they want. Either because, like I said before, YouTube is serving it to them and it's hard for them to not click on it, or because they go into like a, well, I'm engaging with the content with my brain, or I'm engaging with my eyes, but I'm not engaging with my brain. So they're sitting and watching like 30 minutes here, 15 minutes here, 10 minutes there, but they're not really consuming, learning, educating, or anything. They're just consuming. Because I hope it's that is intentionally, but I fear it's a little bit like, did you take the cookie, little Billy? And like, no, but you have cookie cream all over your face. Yeah, I did not eat the cookie, Mom. I have a feeling it's that. that people are just too embarrassed to say that they like the drama more, they like the reality TV shit more, they like the doom scrolling more than the educational side because it makes them maybe look less educated. What is it called? Sophisticated. That's what I think it's at. But and again, I'm recording these live streams because then I take stuff like this and edit it out and do exactly what everyone else is doing. I'm making clips out of it and putting it up. Not shorts. I hate shorts. That's one of the things I will not do myself. I'm not supporting the short form content. It's. I honestly don't think YouTube Shorts or TikTok, anything under a minute. Let me put it this way: anything under 5 minutes, I don't think is helpful, other than for advertisement. Like, for advertisement, I get it. But I have seen people nowadays, I'm not joking, I had someone coming and telling this on a live stream one time that they got educated about Linux from YouTube Shorts. And I call massive bullshit on that. I don't think you can... Well, if you're watching 2 hours of YouTube Short that is in sequence, so it's basically a 2-hour video, I get it, but that's not how YouTube Shorts functions. But yeah, I had a few, not a lot, but a few people coming in and say that, oh, we actually get educated from, like, we have to learn something from YouTube Shorts. And I think at best you can say from YouTube Shorts or TikTok Shorts you will get aware of something. But it's not like, oh, I just watched this short, I'm a programmer now. Or I just watched like these shorts and I can now become a plumber. Or I can now fix my... you can probably fix some household things here and there from a short, but it's not a thing I think is healthy. Because when you think about it, a short is nothing more than ads in back in the day. You know, 10 to 30 seconds long. A lot of blim, blam, bloom, blam, blim. And then next to the other one. And humans have not gotten more advanced in their brains since the 90s or 80s or 70s that we can now super speed information. That cannot be done until we get like Neuralinks or something in our fucking brains. Okay? But what shorts does is just the same as ads. It triggers these dopamines. It makes us... It's only 30 minutes or 30 seconds or a minute. What comes next? What is the next bling, blang, boom, bloom that they stimulate our senses? What comes next kind of thing? I was debating on trying a month live streaming on Twitch. But then I followed what the fuck? I can't remember her channel, but she walks in Tokyo. She do like evening walks. So from like 2 o'clock to like 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, she would be walking in Tokyo and talk about random Tokyo shit. And she streams both on YouTube and on Twitch. And YouTube just have the better technology. It's more crisp. The bitrate is better. There's less dropouts. I do pay for premium, so the ad kind of thing I don't know much about. But I've had experiences on Twitch a lot of times where I watch a stream and then an ad is about to play and the feed just die. It's just a black screen and I have to refresh the page for the ads then to play twice because it thinks I'm trying to circumvent it, or it's like, oh, you didn't watch the first one, so now you have to watch the new stream ads that some put in every time you refresh, like you come new into the stream, plus the one we want to play you in the mid-roll. The best thing about Twitch is the chat. Like, they have the best chat integration whatsoever. Anything else sucks on Twitch. It just sucks. It's just so much more stable on YouTube, and it's better quality on YouTube. So I was like, yeah, maybe I should just stay. Because I had her, like I said, she was dual streaming. And at one point, her Twitch stream was almost a minute behind her YouTube stream. Because of blackouts and ads going in and out and all that fucking shit. And even if I refreshed the Twitch stream, it's not catching up to YouTube yet. But Twitch is also, apparently they're bleeding numbers. People are moving to Kick and YouTube. I don't know if Lame is in here. If you can hear me, Lame, I need to tell you something interesting, by the way. It's about watches. Because this is, like I said, I want to do more with these live streams, so I have bought shit. Well, it's not shit, but the next live stream. Oh. I will be doing some watch modding. So I have it's going to be part of it. There will be some tech shit also, but I have an old Casio. It's a 6900 series, so from 90s design pattern. But it has like a negative display in it, and it's really hard to see in Denmark because we don't get that much sunlight. So I am going to put another polarizer in it. So that means taking the watch apart, taking the LCD out, taking the polarizer that's making it black out, and putting one in that makes it positive. And I just need to buy the polarizer. So stuff like that I want to do more. So I think what I want to do is like tech. That's not how we spell it. Tech. What do you call stuff like that? Hands. And then tech again. So this could be like coding stuff, Linux, Windows, and here it could be like modding, open shit up, you know, unboxing, because like I said, that's some of the things that bought a lot of stuff we can do now. Also, why I don't want them be tethered to the microphone boom, because if I can use this I'm using now, it just give me more freedom of movement. But when I mean hands, so basically anything where you know, you have a webcam looking down on the desk and we can do shit. It can be building a Lego set, it can be whatever the fuck it is. And then some more tech down here that can be Windows related, IT related, etc., etc., etc. So it will be a tech subject, doing something in real life, you know, like with, I call it hacks, but where we are actually modding or fixing something. It can be installing Windows, it can be installing a hard drive, it can be installing graphic cards, it can be anything where we're doing something physical. And then at the end, a tech subject again. I think I want to structure it a little bit like that. Because I get a little bit bored, and I feel like the viewers also get bored if we just sit here and talk about Linux all day, or Windows, and coding and stuff like that. So there's a little bit for everyone here. So I also want to do more. I miss using my hands a little bit for other things than just typing the fucking keyboard. So I think this would be a really good idea at what is it called? Doing shit. And then again, the idea here is if I need to set OBS up when I'm done. I think I'll do that when I'm done with my app, but then this will be a video, and this will be a video on YouTube, like edited, condensed version of it. And this, what we do here, would be a video. So that would say from not all of it, or maybe this one. If I don't feel this is entertaining enough for video, I will only do these two. Or like, it depends on what we are doing and how it's going along and whatnot. And but yeah, I think that's how I want to structure at least this channel from now on. It's the live stream is the primarily focus, and then the edited unquote videos will be things from the live stream. So that's why I do both. I do a local recording also. So basically, what the local recording don't have the music on it, basically. And yeah, I think I will do that. And then if I want to do anything other than that, I will do that on my other channel. So that would be like if I go for walks, let me think, software projects, stuff like that, that will be put up on the other channel. So let's say you want to keep up with what is my latest coding project and stuff like that. If I'm not talking about it on stream, there would be a dedicated video if it's something I feel that's important enough on the other channel. But that also may mean less Linux, because I am a little bit, and I keep saying, I say this quite a lot. I get tired of Linux. I do get tired of talking about Linux a lot. But I will, of course, it comes in waves with me. It's like, I get excited, I get tired, I get excited, I get tired about talking about Linux. And it's mostly because Linux is in this like delusional state. When I say Linux, I don't mean Linux itself, but I mean the users and the community building that's built up around Linux is in this strange illusional state that just makes it draining to have a common sense conversation about it. If you're not a fanatic, you can barely talk about Linux. But it is interesting, and a lot of interesting things happen in Linux, so I do want to talk about it. But there's also a lot of times when nothing happens of value in Linux. So yeah, it's one of those things where it comes in waves. I've been debating on starting up. I do this like every 2 years ish. Starting up respinning Linux again, making a Linux distribution. But then I'm just adding to the whole Yeah, I don't know. I was debating on doing like a live distribution review at some point, doing the live stream as at the end of the stream, like so tech hands or like real life stuff, and then a distribution review. But most distributions are fucking shit, and the in quote developers of the distribution are too thin-skinned to acknowledge that they don't really do anything other than retheming Linux. Like they think they're doing this like we are now going to outcompete Ubuntu kind of mentality. And yeah, it's just weird. It's a weird mentality. Or they think just because the distribution is number one on what is it called? DistroWatch, they think it's like, oh, everyone is using it. No, they are not. It's most Linux users don't even fucking use DistroWatch. So it's like it's a super weird thing that I don't. I wish the Linux space was better. And again, I don't mean Linux itself. I mean the people associated with it. Like I see some, not a lot, but I do see some of the tech YouTubers that I follow going over and trying Linux and building Linux machines and stuff like that. And I on purposely don't watch those videos because I don't want to see the disillusional copium going on in the comment section about like, oh my god, now everyone is going to use Linux because this creator did it, or yeah, down with proprietary software and Microsoft, it's the worst thing ever, and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, I don't want to see that bullshit because it brings nothing to the table. When Linus built Linus Torvalds' computer 15 years ago, I'll be watching that with a nerd boner bigger than the Eiffel Tower. And I didn't even fucking click on the video. Because I'm not, this is going to sound bad, but I don't care what Linus Torvalds is, I don't care what Linus TechTip is saying anymore. Because both Linuses, I feel they are not in contact with the real world anymore. Mr. TechTip, he has lost this realm of reality like many years ago, I feel like. And Mr. Torvalds, he's more into scuba diving than Linux, like he has some strong opinions, but again, like he's not the one driving distributions. And the thing that is going to get the desktop market share up are distros. Not the kernel itself. So I care more about what Ubuntu is doing, or Red Hat is doing, or Fedora or SUSE is doing, than what Mr. Torvalds is doing. Because the kernel in of itself is not going to make Linux desktop happen or not. It's the distribution makers. But for good reasons, most of the big distribution makers that can make an impact, they don't say much outside of their conferences. I don't even know if Ubuntu have a community manager anymore. Heck, I used to way back in the day. The Ubuntu community managers used to come to my live streams, funny enough. And I've been ripping Ubuntu a new asshole sometimes, but he will still be in here. Yeah, I just feel like the Linux distributions that actually can make an impact on the desktop market share are not engaging with the community anymore. And I kind of understand why that is. And they are just focusing on the corporate world, because that's where the money is. That's where the money is. And maybe that's where Linux is doomed to be. It's a corporate backend OS / for nerds, and Windows and Mac is for everyone else, which is totally fine for me. I don't mind that at all. I was also wondering, I need to figure out if there's a way I can get the data, but I want to see how many Twitch streamers are using Linux for gaming. Because you see a lot of YouTube videos of people moving over, not a lot, but you see some, where they're like, I am gaming on Linux now. When you get a live streamer to game on Linux, that's when you, and more than 1 or 2 or 3, but a lot, that's when you have in, because most gamers are not tech people. Like, they don't understand programming, they don't understand engines, OSs. Heck, they can barely fucking install a graphic card. They have other people to do that for them. And a lot of gaming live streamers don't understand tech either, funny enough. They have people setting up live streams for them. So I would love to see or love to know how many Twitch users are actually streaming from Linux and or using Linux on a stream, like I said, for one reason or another. Because that's like, if you want to talk about normies, that's normies. You know. That's like a normie fest. But I sadly think it's way less than you would like it to be. Like, way less than you would like it to be. But I don't know, maybe K2 will destroy Linux, so when K2 come out, it will just be like, Linux is going back to like 1% of the market share. Because the thing with Windows is that they don't need to do much to get up again. They just need to do enough. But then again, Microsoft and its developers seems to be so out of touch with reality that I don't know if K2 is the savior. But also, it took, when did Windows 11 come out? 2020? 6 years, or 2021? It's a fucking long ass time. It's a long time to figure out that there's something wrong with Windows 11. And I would be like, why not just do Windows 12 or whatever the fuck you will call it? Because if you look at the Windows updates, they all start with K. And there's a lot of K2, blah, 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 and then a lot of fucking other numbers. So I have a sneaky suspicion that this K2 thingy here could just be a placeholder for like the new Windows version or something like that. Or what the fuck is it called? They're just bullshitting into saying the next Windows update /K is going to be a massive thing, and it's really not. I don't know. I'm actually low-key wanting to play some games on Twitch now for some fucking weird reason. To some extent, I wish I did not fucking discover Linux. It's been a pain in my existence. Maybe I should also figure out how many Windows 11 computers that have been sold. Because that's the only thing people care about in the corporate world, like how many units do we sell. And they don't care about if people then installing Linux afterwards. Also, I saw someone using a program like this in a web browser, but I don't think it can do all the same shit that this one can do. Who was it? Was it low level? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, this stream is dead, so I'm done for today. See you all later. Have a good day. Bye bye.